Another little wannabe gangster trying to play hard.
That's a warrior. That's a real warrior.
Max is the best matchup for Ilia right now.
He's the guy, yeah.
Yeah. But there seems to be some confusion of who is accepting the fight.
Do we really question if Max Holloway, the guy who stepped up multiple times in multiple weight classes, wanted to fight Khabib, and it wasn't his fault he got pulled out of that fight, do we really think Max Holloway in any way could be responsible for this fight not being booked?
I mean, Max post-press conference of that last fight said the plan was to finish this fight and have options on the table, which is something we all talked about, but he literally says that. I want to have options on the table. And definitely one of those options was a fight with Ilia Topuria. So he wanted to get that fight based on his last performance. So I highly doubt it's him.
But would it not be obvious that it's the guy that had like this mystical, fantastical title win and then just disappeared and hasn't said anything for months?
We all, I think the entire community kind of made fun of Topuria for channeling Conor McGregor a bit too much. But this is also following that script.
Yeah.
He does the Aldo belt takeaway. He gets the emphatic win, crazy knockout. And he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to defend this title anymore. I don't think that's actually his intention, but he's basically doing that. He's just looking not in the rearview mirror. He's looking towards another belt.
It seems like almost Ilia's like trying to build that like mysticism around him, right? That he is the A side, like he's the guy that everyone's coming after. Like, it's not him. He's the champion. He's the one everybody wants. It's not me. It's Max. It's the other side that are making all the problems. And it's like that way of bigging yourself up to seem like a bigger draw, a bigger appeal. It's like special when he finally fights. But it's like if Max is tweeting saying this guy's just making shit up now, it's like I don't see Max as a liar or a fraudster in any way. It's very much cut and dry.
The only time he's ever been pulled out of a fight was due to someone else. It's never been his reason to do that. And he's taken on all challengers. He's super down to fight anybody. The person that is the holdup here, I feel very confident to hold my hand up and say it is Topuria. Like, there is no way Max is the one that is creating these issues because he doesn't do that. That's not who he is.
Topuria also said after he won the belt, like, he was immediately like, I'm not defending this thing. I'm taking all the time I want. I've done everything I need to. It's like, I've beaten the greatest featherweight there is. I'm the guy now. Yeah, but it's like, it almost feels like that first defense is almost as important as winning the belt. It shows that you have the potential and the willingness to be that guy. However, then if you can go on and defend your belt and put in a stead like Volk, where he was fighting regularly, fighting every 3 months, you know, showing what it takes to be a champion. Seeing Volk flattened like that, yes, after Islam, he's never looked as outgunned as he has at featherweight before. And then if you don't capture on that momentum and you have these weird layoffs where you're just kind of taking your own time because you think you're the shit already, I don't think that does anything for fans' favor at all.
If you're Ilia, a power puncher knockout artist, and then you watch Max Holloway take loads of shots from Gaethje and then knock him out at the end, and also get that reaction that you got from Ilia, you know, there was an interesting expression on his face. Read into whatever you want. Some of the community have already read into that as a look of concern combined with the performance from Max. So there is definitely going to be a bunch of people watching this video who probably think Ilia just is probably quite concerned about the matchup and doesn't want to fight him, which sounds crazy and not something we usually go to as a reason why someone won't take the fight. If you ask me, another reason, you know, he's probably trying to stretch this belt out for as long as possible. He's in Spain. He's a superstar. As long as he has that UFC title, he will be king in that country.
But he wants to move up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
sure. Another challenge.
That would be a different strategy from stretching it out,
but
right?
he's still not taking a fight in 6 months. I mean, there could be an injury or something like that.
If it is an injury, if that's all it is, if that's legitimately all it is for Topuria, it's an injury. Just say that.
Yeah.
There's not a single person who would say, oh, yeah, he's got a torn meniscus. Yeah, fine. Take some time.
What might be realistic as well is that he wants to be champ, and he might not be champ if he fights Max Holloway first before he gets a second title shot.
You need to do more. Knocking out Volk is amazing, but doing it after him already being knocked out in a bad way dampens it a little.
Do you think he's scared of Max Holloway?
Well, so I don't think he's scared. I think that sometimes fighters are delusional enough to actually think that they're above somebody. And I actually think Islam is the bigger challenge than Max Holloway on paper.
Well,
Because Max
yeah.
Holloway's lost a couple times in the last couple of
he
years.
lost to the guy he beat, right? He lost to Volkanovski.
And also,
then Topuria goes there and knocks him out. So
Right.
he probably
Holloway
has that
No,
opinion.
yeah, right.
Max Holloway is also in his weight class, so fighting someone up is always more of a challenge because you're dealing with that size matter. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say he's scared because he's got a big record in the
Yeah.
UFC and he's beaten everyone he's come up against and he's knocked out a lot of them too.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone he won't fight, but like you said, I think there's an ego there where he just believes the fact that I am the guy. I've got the belt. Doesn't matter what anyone
And
else
I think
says.
he's just going to wait until he can have a shot at a second belt and be champ. I don't think he wants to
there's
defend.
no-
Conor didn't defend. He's probably following the Conor plan. Conor never defended. He just got the second shot. So
I'll meet this idea halfway, though. I don't think he's scared, but I also think he knows it's a bad style matchup.
probably.
I think fighters can admit that to themselves and say, yeah, maybe he sees something in Islam's game that he could be totally wrong about, but he thinks he sees. That, oh yeah, I'll be able to starch this guy in one shot because, Poirier's been able to hit him a couple times. He's been knocked out by Adriano Martins in the past. Maybe he sees something in there and says, I can starch this guy where I know, doesn't matter how many shots I land on Holloway, this is going to be a grueling fight and I just kind of can't be bothered with that. And this guy's already lost a couple times, so he's beneath me. I'm trying to steel man what might be a possible case. I have a hard time believing that Topuria is scared though.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense, especially when you go back to, I beat Volkanovski. Volkanovski almost beat Islam, and I beat that guy.
But
So I
also-
reckon I could beat
And he was
Islam.
pushing for that
Yeah,
fight as well.
I
He
think-
certainly wasn't scared of
yeah.
Volk.
I would also say though, Volk, whether our feelings about the first fight, he lost twice to Islam. Volk, up until that point, consensus, whether you believe it or not, was the greatest fighter on the planet, number one pound for pound. Couldn't beat Islam, even though it was a great fight, and then gets knocked out. Topuria finishes him as well. Topuria's only beat Volk. I don't think you can come off your title challenge, win it, and then go straight into a double champ.
Conor did.
I agree.
But Conor is different. He's not Conor.
yeah.
It's really interesting seeing someone talk such a big game and then back it up. Like, I think we're all here for that. That's why we all fell in love with Conor. But it's like, you just need to show it more. There's no other star-making quality in him other than his performances. And I think that's what's missing.
His trash talk is sorely lacking. Yeah. He
Yeah,
doesn't
and-
have anywhere near what Conor had because there is the language barrier.
Yeah. Which
Credit to
but
him
that
for
can still
speaking
work.
3 languages.
What did he
but
say?
That
That
doesn't
can
mean
still
you can
work.
trash
At
talk
that
in
press
English.
conference, was it just like, fuck you? What was it he said that was quite funny?
Shut the fuck up.
it was quite funny.
If you do feel like you're above everything, it does make sense for you to say, that guy just lost to that guy twice. I want that guy. I want the guy who won twice. I want the Islam fight. That's what I want.
Guy's still undefeated as well.
I think you are severely out of touch, though. That's the major difference between this and the Conor situation. Nobody was clamoring for the Frankie Edgar fight. Everybody did want to see the RDA fight. The problem is nobody is with Topuria on this. Everybody wants to see. I mean, Max Holloway just blew up the fucking planet at 300. He's the guy who stole the show. He's the guy that did the crazy thing, brought the legitimacy of the BMF title back. I didn't even think that was possible going in.
Why don't you think that Ilia wouldn't accept that and go, this is great for me. I have a challenger here, done this incredible last second KO against, one of the toughest guys in a weight class above him. Why as a champion do you not look at that and go, yeah, I'm going to take that now as well. I'm going to use it for me.
I think you're delusional if you think a Max fight is a bad idea, if you think you can win. And
And that's the thing. He's not saying he doesn't want to fight him. He is calling Max out, but it's just the time in between, the feel like stalling is like, why is it taking so long? Because everyone's hype is slowly trailing off.
and again, we know it's not Max.
I think if you look back now at that reaction that Topuria had to that Max win, I think more than anything, it's probably surprise, like going into that fight. First of all, it's not a 145. Second of all, everyone thinks Gaethje's going to win. So from Topuria's perspective, probably not even really thinking about Max Holloway at that point.
Yeah. I think we were all counting
Exactly.
him out. That's what made it such a big
when the guy
deal.
knocks out Gaethje, all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, this guy's a potential opponent for me now, right? Like, he wasn't even on his radar and all of a sudden he is. But if he thinks, again, it is exactly what you said. We all wanted to see Conor go for the second belt. Now it's about Max. It's about what we want to see Max do. Of course, we want to see Ilia do whatever, but because so many people want to watch Max fight, we want to see him fight Ilia. And if Max had lost that fight, obviously this wouldn't even be the conversation. And we probably, I don't know who we'd be talking about. We might just be talking about a champ fight. Who knows?
I think you got a good point there, because I feel like for a lot of people, especially for me, I mean, this may be more of a reflection on me, but I feel like we only kind of got over the whole Max thing once Volk beat him for the third time. We was like, the first one was close, but Volk won. The second, it looked like Max maybe won that to some people. Then the third, it was like, okay, this is going to be the trilogy. Let's get it settled. And then Volk completely destroys Max and runs circles around him. And it was like, okay, like we all know he's a great fighter, but it doesn't feel like there's two champions anymore. We feel like we have the guy in Volk. Now, maybe Topuria winning when he did, and then Max having his massive performance at 300, the attention's kind of off him. So, like I said at the start of this, it's Topuria's way of making himself feel like the A side, feel like he's in charge. I feel like there's an expectation, especially from the fans, and especially from me, that we want to see you defend your belt. I don't want to see you come in and go off. Maybe that's selfish for me, but it's like that's when memories are made of you as a fighter.
Do we miss the bygone era of Silva on top, GSP on top? Do we miss that era where they just kind of stayed in their own lane? And every once in a while, you would get a BJ Penn GSP.
Activity era as well.
Well,
Usman, Izzy, and
they weren't chasing a second
Volk.
belt. They were chasing legacy in their own division. I kind of miss that. I want kind of a mix, though. You know, it's like I did want Anderson Silva to fight at 205 instead of just fighting James Irvin and who was the other 205?
How dare you? Don't ever say anything bad about that man.
Tom's favorite fighter. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen GSP go up and challenge Anderson. I would have loved to have seen Anderson try against John Jones.
Thank you for watching the podcast today, everybody. Stop laughing at me, all right? You bastard.
It's like a switch.
If you want to pay to stop these guys from acting like idiots, it's £2.99. I will take that money. I will pay for some advanced learning courses, maybe some dialect, some diction classes for this kid over here.
Diction.
Just something to help you not sound like you're gargling a bunch of marbles, you know?
Speaking of classes, how did you say pseudoscience earlier?
Suedo.
There you go.
You didn't even say
education.
what they're buying.
It's
If you want the long pod, which is sometimes better.
Everyone loves a long pod.